baby beard.
All right, I'm a delivery boy.
Who is Hermes planning on killing?
I think we should let the orphans run free.
You've redeemed funds.
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't.
He's just an old guy.
Can we talk about evil Lincoln?
Oh, of course.
Oh, this art needs to be sent. That's not the voice at all.
That's lobster tamed.
Let's make it the
Look,
Christmas.
let me ask you this.
He was just about to agree with you.
Shut up and take my podcast.
She hasn't stopped crying since the end of the episode. It's just kept on going.
Hey guys, welcome to a very lovely episode of Shut Up and Take My Podcast.
I hate you. I hate you all.
The Futurama podcast that pits episode against episode in a bloody, glorious, particularly bloody this time, gauntlet battle for your entertainment and absolutely advocates for doggy death. I am joined here by Phil.
Can your podcast make a laser light show come out of its head?
By Josh.
Phil believes that old dogs don't exist.
By Ellen.
He waited for you, Fry. Fry, he waited for you. He didn't live a long life. We didn't forget about you. All right, let's...
And we're joined by Sean.
How many people do you think died from eating Panucci's pizza?
No one. I keep telling you, it is fine.
Okay,
Once
look,
it goes in the oven, you kill most of the
screamed at
bacteria.
Ellen. I screamed at Ellen the moment that the dog pooped in the sauce. That is not okay. It doesn't matter how much you cook it.
Using dog as an ingredient is a bit of a thing in Matt Groening. Because
Needs
there's
more
a beer.
dog.
Yeah, there's a beer made from
Dog.
From
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's fine.
So it's adding flavour. Seymour is just adding flavour to the
Exactly.
sauce.
Ellen,
Y'all are just you are not foodie
I'm
enough.
on Ellen's page.
Yeah.
I was about to say, you are...
Ellen's page.
So if I feed you poop pizza,
It's
You're
not
fine
in
with
the
that?
pizza, it's in the meatballs. So just
the
don't
sauce!
get
It's all through the sauce!
And he pooped in it. He pooped in
It
the
just
sauce.
makes a little meatball.
That's not
Yeah.
helpful. It's not helpful.
You are what you eat, right?
Dog poop.
So you're shit, is what you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
made a meat
I'm with that.
So
So what
guys-
episode are we doing?
We're
I think
doing
you
the
all
pilot.
know.
No.
You all know what episode we're doing.
We're at season 4, episode 7, Jurassic Bark.
Ah!
Now, I've written duh where I put the answer to this, but what is Jurassic Bark a reference to?
Shut up.
It's a reference
No, that's
to
us.
Old fossilized trees.
Exactly
That's
right.
right. That's
Yep,
correct.
nailed it.
It, park. It's park.
Jurassic Park.
Park.
Yes.
Yes, where trees that are
Which is-
fossilized would be found.
Which is a bit weird because his dog was not fossilized in the Jurassic period
But
at all.
Fossilized.
Yeah, but nothing in
still.
Jurassic
Yeah.
Park was from the Jurassic
No,
period
that's
anyway,
right.
so-
That's correct. Yeah.
And you get the same thing of like cloning something,
Yeah,
bringing
that's
it back
true.
to life.
That's
So
true.
it's
Did they add frog DNA?
I don't know, maybe. We never see, do we?
Because
oh
the
my
doggy
God.
lived a rich, full life.
Shut-
I stopped watching
My
the
favorite
episode.
thing about the reference of Jurassic Park is the way they explain what the title reference is on Infosphere, which is one of the Futurama websites. It
Yeah.
says title reference: the famous dinosaur resurrection film Jurassic Park.
The
Yeah.
dinosaur.
I like
a genre,
that.
is it?
Yeah, genre.
That's so sweet. I like to think it now that the dinosaurs are someone's pets. It's kind of like the Rancor Keeper and the Rancor
Oh.
in,
That little
in
baby
Star
Rancor.
Wars, where
Hey,
you're like,
another creature that died. horribly.
Yeah,
It was really
that's
sad.
very sad.
That's
isn't
also
it?
a baby rancor.
Yeah.
I wish
cried. I
I
cried.
wish I hadn't brought that up.
Let's bring up every pet that has died in the history of every
I remember
pop culture,
first
yeah.
seeing that and asking my brother, "Why is that man crying?" And my brother goes, "Oh, it's his pet." And then I immediately started bawling, and I was like,
shouldn't laugh.
"No, I can't."
asking my
Luke
dad
is such a
Yeah.
bastard.
He is.
asking
well,
my dad
no.
the exact
The
same.
director for this episode is the favorite name that comes out of my
Wiener.
tongue. Swinton
Oh.
O. Scott the third. Back from
Like
Leela's homeworld.
Yeah.
Good episode.
Mr. Swinton O. Scott the third was nominated for a Daytime Emmy Award for Static Shock. Does anyone remember Static Shock?
That's the
Oh.
DC one about the young African American who can use static electricity.
Correct. Who
Wow.
was voiced by Phil Lamar.
Yeah, and it's recently had a reboot, which is pretty good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on Netflix.
Does he have the
Dang.
ability to make people go, oh?
like that, except throughout the entire body, and it actually leaves them.
It's actually more of like an emotional shock. Like, oh my god,
Oh my god.
Oh, well, he also can't fight crime without, like, taking off his shoes, getting on the carpet with socks and just, like, running on the spot
so
for a bit.
with the power to mildly annoy you.
Yeah. I think in the reboot they've renamed him. I think it's Black Lightning or something. But
No,
it's the fact
so a common misconception that Static Shock is the son of Black Lightning. He is not. It's completely...
For those listening at home, Sean pushed his spectacles up on his nose.
Okay, Miss Egyptian
actually-
history.
He just
Get off,
looked.
I will come up here on my pedestal where you belong.
you will come up here on your pedestal where you belong. Sean, that makes absolutely no sense.
I think we're avoiding
You're
talking about the
psycho, you should
episode
know
here.
Yeah,
The
clearly.
writer
On
for
any
this episode
pedestals.
is Eric Kaplan. Sorry, Mr. Kaplan, I didn't have an extra fact for you
Oh,
this week.
no, he's
but
right.
he's back from I Dated a Robot, so
Okay.
I can assume he is a fan of Lucy Liu. There's your fact.
And
that was.
Are we
and
all?
Swinton III has successfully gut punched Ellen twice now to make her feel feelings.
Shut up. It's not my fault.
I agree with you. I was right there with you with Leela's Homeworld, and I'm right here again with this episode. But I also like to make fun of you because Phil keeps pointing out that dogs don't exist, and I'm okay with this.
They clearly do.
Have you seen a dog with your own two eyes?
Yes.
Are the dogs in the room right now?
No, because we're not running this place like a fucking zoo.
Look,
all right?
Well, we have
New Wes Anderson film, dogs in it.
Yeah.
Dogs are fictional. I don't know how much
more proof you need.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Instead of the conspiracy theory with
I really hope you get mauled by a dog
So,
right now.
The air date for this episode,
tiny
which was a time when people knew that dogs were in fact fake, November 17th, 2002.
Good year for fake dogs.
Introducing Seymour Asses.
Yes, that is
Best
the
boy.
full name. of
Yes.
the
Name
dog.
of I love
He's
that.
the best boy.
And sort of magician Bender. maybe,
Yeah.
sort of.
Bender the Magnificent. No one calls me that.
Who's kind of good, but also shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, like
There's only
many
so
of
many
this.
ways you can get rid of milk.
So good.
Well, we know one of his functions is he can just flush it out of his system, but it does end up just going out his feet. So
Oh, he's just chest.
Well, it's leaking out of the
Chest cavity.
Just the chest cavity,
the door in
Also-
his chest.
Just the balloons and the birds and his antenna.
Oh, my favorite is the Laser Light
Yeah.
Show,
Yeah.
which is why I referenced it
Yeah,
in my
absolutely.
intro. Oh my god, that is so. The music that goes with it is really good.
There's
as well.
a lot of really good levity in this episode.
before
That's
we
right.
get onto that, let's run down the plot for the
Okay.
Yeah,
episode
let's do
in
that.
Do it.
30 seconds or less.
Bender's penis turns into a bunch of
I'm being
flowers.
time limited.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you done quick.
A Australian newspaper reveals that a pizza parlor from old New York has been unearthed. So Bender and Fry go to visit it. Turns out it's Panucci's. And on display there is Seymour, Fry's old dog. So between flashbacks to the past, we learned that Fry befriended this dog by giving it some pizza that was left over from a joke delivery. And the dog then becomes like a staple at the pizza parlor when Fry gets frozen, which you may remember happening from the whole of the plot of Futurama.
No.
Seymour tries to get people to discover Fry, including his family, but they never do. And we'll get to how that storyline finishes in a moment.
Tragically.
But back in the now times of the show, Fry is going to have his dog cloned by the professor. So he prepares everything ready to get his... I'm way over 30 seconds. Prepares to welcome Seymour back into his life, making Bender jealous. So Bender sabotages the cloning process, throws the dog into lava, but heroically jumps into the lava to save the dog when he realizes that Fry isn't just pretending to be emotionally invested. Back in the past, Seymour never ever forgets that
No,
Fry
don't do it.
is his loving owner.
And most likely dies from a broken heart.
Shut up! Why are you
Just
guys so mean?
dies
he doesn't
So
die of a
after
broken heart.
12 years of waiting.
It's not a broken heart that kills him. It's old age.
And
Ultimately,
a broken heart.
And also
ultimately,
he's-
Fry chooses not to resurrect.
How do we feel, guys?
Isn't this just the?
I
one of the
don't
best
feel so
episodes?
good. I think I've run out of liquid in my body.
I don't know. This didn't hit me watching it with you guys.
It's because
as
you
much
don't have
as-
emotions, obviously.
Because dogs
I'm
don't
very
exist.
sensitive. I think its context is everything. This has made me feel strongly in the past. I think this episode has maybe more of an impact on me when it's watched privately, when you just sort of immerse yourself in it.
Holding your dog.
I was trying not to cry. I was trying to, be strong for you guys.
Trying
keep
and
it,
failing.
Keep it
you
together.
welled up in the first 2 minutes.
Shut up!
Yeah, I don't think I didn't feel like you were
Yeah.
trying that.
I was trying
The
so
moment
hard.
Seymour walked on, Ellen's like,
Because it's the sounds, it's the whimpers, and like how much he loves Fry. And the like a little thing that almost made me cry is so we see Seymour like starving, kind of mutt meets Fry. Fry gives him the leftover pizza. And the next time we see Seymour, he's so much more well fed.
It's a nice
and he,
detail,
and he
isn't
looks
it?
healthy, and he's so happy, and it's just
I
it gets to
have
me.
a question. Cheese. How do dogs usually react to cheese?
Makes him fart a lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
but they can eat it. Like, it's not
You
like
shouldn't.
chocolate?
You shouldn't. No, it's
On
not
the
as bad as
spectrum
chocolate.
of like doggy death to
never
loving
never give dogs chocolate. Don't do it. Cheese, you shouldn't, because it'll probably give them gas. But a little bit is
That
fine.
might be why he has wet dog smell, even when he's
Yeah.
the other thing as well is, speaking of like the little details, and I don't mean to make you sad, Ellen, but he starts.
Here it goes.
He starts scrawny, and he does get plump, and he's healthy.
Yeah.
And then you watch the animation take the reverse. as it
He's
goes.
also
gets
getting
older,
older.
yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
It's-
Like,
yeah.
I remember
So
my
waits
dog.
outside in the rain day
Yeah,
after
well,
day.
15's the equivalent of what, like 80, 90
Yeah,
years
Depends
gets
on
old.
the size of the dog.
Yeah,
if
true.
it's a smaller dog, which Seymour is, 15 to 16 is about kind of right. Whereas if it's a bigger dog, you might get 10 to 12.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's what happens with dogs. Like I remember my dog, like by the end of his thing, he was
What?
very scrawny.
Oh, I thought you meant they get flash fossilized. That's what
Yeah.
happens with dogs.
Yeah.
Now, when you say dog,
No.
you mean cat, right? Because dogs
Because
don't
don't
exist.
exist.
Why are you like this?
I got
Who
one
hurt
question.
No, I have.
you?
Wait, but you just had my question now. My question now. How was he flash fossilized? Don't cover that.
Yeah.
And when he was flash fossilized, how come he's standing in
That-
like
well,
a
yes,
rigid
that was
position?
my next question.
Or hang on.
Because he
likes
at the
to
end of the episode, he just lies down gently.
He likes to swim.
Was that
in
his moment of
sewers.
death?
I don't
Do we
think
insi-
it was.
Because I didn't think it was. I thought he was
I
just.
think that was his moment of death.
Maybe
That's what I figured.
but-
Right?
like
He just lies down gently to die.
I don't know. Most dogs won't be in that kind of position. They'll be on their side. In which case, when rigor mortis, you might be able to get him standing up.
Maybe.
But also, I don't know.
It's very like his legs are all
Wait,
straight
so that's
and
actually
everything.
Seymour on his side.
Well, no, he goes
they're
to
standing him up.
No,
Yeah.
he goes to sleep, right? Kind of with his paws in front of him and his head's on that. But
paws are
during
folded, yeah.
sleep,
He
he will
rolls on
turn
his side.
onto his side and hopefully
And puts his legs out straight.
hopefully passes away gently
Well,
in
this
his
is the weird thing
sleep.
though, because the fossilized Seymour does look like a younger Seymour too.
It does.
does,
It looks
um,
like a much
yeah.
plumper, but that could be all the extra stuff on top.
Around it.
Or,
yeah.
or twist, it's just
that's-
not Seymour.
That sweet, sweet dolomite, that mineral that won't quit.
It's Dolomite, baby.
Also, contextually, this episode, for those of you that aren't aware of Jurassic Bark, number 7 on IGM's top 25 Futurama episodes.
Damn right it is.
Yeah,
low.
number 2 on TV.com's top 10 Futurama
Mm-hmm.
episodes. It was nominated for an Emmy, but lost to the Simpsons episode 3 Gays of the Condor.
Which one's that?
That's the one where Homer believes that Marge only got with him because she got pregnant with Bart, so he moves in with the two gay men.
Oh, Weird Al's in that episode. I remember.
Yeah,
that one.
Weird Al's in the episode. That's the
Oh.
Emmy award-winning
That
episode.
I
episode is
don't
nowhere near
remember.
as good.
I don't remember it.
No,
I
And
don't
that's
remember that
saying
episode
a
at
lot
all.
for
Oh, it
a
wasn't
Simpsons
great.
Yeah, Homer
episode.
moves in with a gay couple. One of them is totally okay with Homer living there. The other one slowly gets jealous. One of the couple falls in love with Homer, kisses him, and Homer leaves at the end of the episode.
Yes.
And goes back to
Okay.
Marge.
and there's a surprise Weird Al concert.
Little ditty about Homer and
That
Marge.
that won the Emmy over
No.
Jurassic Bark.
No.
Wow.
It's like Oscars, right? When you go back and you look at
Oh, Smash.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
like, what
Is it
won the
Smash?
Oscar?
La La
No,
Land.
sorry, Crash. It's Crash.
Yeah,
La La
Crash.
Land word.
Crash is terrible,
Terrible.
film.
And
Yeah,
there were
it's
so many
terrible
good
film.
films.
And they were great
Brokeback
films that
Mountain
year.
was that year.
Just
Yeah.
straighten your mic up. It's pointing past your head. There you go.
There we go.
So we don't catch the
Yeah,
tease.
but
Yeah.
always in
Crash
hindsight.
won over Brokeback Mountain, which is insane to
Yeah.
think
But it's about race, so therefore it must be.
But
deep
it's
and
really
meaningful.
badly done.
Yeah,
But
of
also-
course. Yeah, I agree with you.
Comedy Central, the Futurama Fanorama Marathon, number 1.
Yep.
Okay,
Number
yeah.
1. So basically, fans.
Those are my
consensus.
peoples.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
fairly regularly on this is a great source of everything Futurama on the Futurama subreddit. people will make a post about how they skip the last 5 minutes of the
Yeah.
episode or skip the whole episode.
Oh,
'cause
Bambi's mum
they
doesn't
can't-
die.
No.
Yeah, because they just can't stand the feeling.
This is
It's
the,
terrible.
I broke up with an ex when I
Over
long
this
time
episode.
ago. No. We broke up, and then even though we spent the rest of the day with each other, and the last thing we did was watched Bambi.
Oh my god.
no.
What?
It's not great for
What were
mood.
you trying to do?
Thumper.
Just destroy ourselves.
can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
I'm just really proud of that idea of just ending with the multiple joke of what are they planning to do? Thump her while it was Bambi, because Thump her is in.
Well, the whole movie's about fucking
I know. It's great.
Bambi. Like, no, we all know this.
Speaking of fucking,
Do we?
Fucking hell, this is the second time I have watched this episode to completion.
It's the
I
worst
always
segue.
skip. I always skip the dog bit at the end.
Because it's
Like
terrible. Because
like
it's truly
yeah.
a tragic ending. There's nothing good about that ending.
I'm okay with Fry sadly thinking that Seymour lived a happy life and him having that bittersweet, like, at least Seymour lived
But
a happy
he
life.
was
And then you stop because
wrong.
he didn't. They both suffered. It's
He
like, no.
was wrong. I mean, look, you can still. There's things I like. It's nice that clearly Panucci still cares about Seymour and
Yeah.
still feeds him and whatever, and still gives him like a scratch. But it's just
While
so
he's there.
sad.
Panucci ages horribly in 10 years, by the way.
He's quite. He's
Oh,
old.
yeah, he does
Yeah,
actually.
He
Yeah.
is
really.
He is older though.
Yeah.
Maybe he
So-
misses Fry too.
Yeah.
I think he does.
But
Maybe
also his
Panucci died that same
his
night.
business isn't doing that
Yeah.
well, so
It
that's
closes
got to
down.
cause a great amount of stress. Maybe he should stop using the pizza dough as a towel for the dog. But you know,
Maybe you should stop doing many things with that dog.
sneezing
just-
right into the food.
Vermicelli.
yeah,
Original.
pun.
So the original plot for this episode as well, it wasn't going to be.
it was going to be
the
his
dog.
mum,
It was going to
right?
be his mum, and then they
Really?
decided that was too upsetting.
I think the dog is sadder.
So then they were also going to
I
have
think-
Fry's
yeah.
dad, and then
The
they
dog
thought
is still
Really
sadder.
out of character.
then they thought that
Yeah.
was going to be too upsetting as well. Another plot idea that they had was that the
no.
dog Seymour would come back alive and would be super intelligent.
Oh,
That
okay.
would- That would undercut some of the residents.
Yeah.
Well, I think the plot may have been
Yeah.
very different, and then
Yeah.
he ends up apparently going into the sun.
To jump off the really sad part of the episode into some of
The deep pit of despair.
just go back into
Bender's magic career.
I think the professor is amazing in this.
Oh,
episode.
yes.
Like you give the professor gets an opportunity to do some mad science, and he fucking loves it.
He's
I've written
so-
Farnsworth in his element.
Yeah, he just gets like, and all the animators get really fun with it as well. There's lots of shots from his feet looking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the lightning above, and that obviously that reveal of like we need the power of nature. Lightning cracks. We must use
Go
use
down
lava.
to the basement to use the lava.
Even that Wizard of Oz style projection.
Yeah,
of
his head
is just-
appears.
And
Yeah.
just like, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
How long
He
have they had
really-
that?
He really loves screwing over God, doesn't
Oh.
he?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
God is the
He just
enemy.
loves being God
Yeah.
at any opportunity.
I love that.
I'm a
huge-
professor. Lava. Hot.
Great line.
Why does no one listen to me?
And his whole Dolomite thing that he
Yeah.
goes on is brilliant.
Yeah, was he sponsored by Dolomite?
I
Do you
think
reckon?
so, yeah.
I want to build on that. I don't think just Farnsworth's on point in this episode. I think every single character is amazing.
Yeah.
Bender does great work.
And
yeah.
it's funny because, like, normally there's thing when I think Bender is irredeemable, I really think he's irredeemable. I buy him in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I
He's
think it's
totally jealous and upset.
I think it's the perfect balance of him. And you introduce him kind of like a bit as a kid, like, come on, Fry, we're going to do this magic show together. And it is really like a kid's kind of perception of, what's all this stuff? That's not for me. Why would you get this stuff if it's not for me?
Why would you get a
Like,
subscription to the Daily Growl?
it's not a reputable newspaper.
Little glasses. That's,
yeah.
Yeah, a dog collar for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I think you're right in that Bender. Sorry, Sean. Bender in this episode is evil because he's so nice.
Yeah.
Like he's so desperate for Fry's affection.
Yeah.
It makes him do horrible things.
He's
Yeah.
both
And that's-
annoying and redeemable.
that's
It's quite
right.
like I keep
Yeah.
fluctuating between, oh my god, you're so annoying, leave him alone, but also, aw.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the perfect kind of Bender storm.
it's
Build
not.
it- oh, sorry.
It's not like Pharaoh where he kind of
He
dips
just-
over to the edge into like truly,
darkness.
truly dicking over his friends. In this one, he cares so much about Fry that he's
Yeah.
like, why are you why are you trying to replace me?
Yeah.
It is kind
I'm
of
all
weird.
you got now.
It is kind of weird that he thinks of Fry as a dog, as a
As
pet.
a dog, yeah.
Well, he thinks of him as a lesser being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Loving
how
something that's
how
less.
Bender sees everyone that's not him.
But I don't think that's necessarily wrong. Like
No,
someone was someone was talking about how dogs must see us, and it's the equivalent of like a human to an elf, where it's like they live for hundreds of years after us, and like they're these majestic creatures or whatever.
What they
So-
are is out of our realm of possibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so for a robot to love a human, it's something that's not going to be around forever. So it's
Yeah.
kind of similar to a human loving a dog.
He also wants to be treated in the same way that Fry is treating his dog, though. He wants
Yeah,
a
it
tiny
is a-
house with Bender.
Oh,
in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to say
Well,
that's one of
not that he does want it, but if he,
If
know.
he gave him, he just wants the option
That's
of
right.
one.
Also, Fry doing the hustle. Just
Do,
and like
do,
the
do,
fact
do,
that it's
do,
like,
do, do,
You be
do.
careful. You might contract a fever of some kind.
but even like
Yeah,
the,
don't boogie. You might get a fever.
even with the book, it's just like, oh, this part of the hustle is a pledge to the gods.
Was it
wanted
For a
something.
favor,
Favor.
generally a Trans
Trans Am.
Am.
Was it historical dances of the Bronx?
Yeah.
I think is what she was
Yeah, yeah,
reading.
yeah.
Something
There's
along those
a
lines.
lot of real. Actually, I mean, all the jokes in this are pretty great. Like, and there's a lot of kind of like blink and you'll miss them one. I particularly love the newspaper headline. They found an old slice of New York,
Yeah.
and it's like a fossilized pizza.
Yeah.
Which I just think is truly great.
It's the most newspapery kind of article
Yeah.
in the entirety of Futurama.
that's right.
Like,
Yeah.
Can we address the fan servicey portion of this episode?
Go on.
Which I love
The semi-naked
I
wrestling.
love that everyone
Oh,
is
yeah.
so ignoring Amy and Leela just like grappling each other in
In
very
very,
sexy
Yeah.
leotards. Leela's leotard in particular is one of my favorite
Yeah.
looks.
Even that
this
moment
far.
where she, like, where Fry tears off everything.
I'm glad
going
you're
on,
on board. I'm glad you're on board.
Yeah.
And Leela tears
Oh,
it off. Just
and
as
there
very
is-
tongue-in-cheek.
They have when she
Side
is
boob.
about to pull off her leotard. They've drawn her with much more cleavage
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
usually has.
There's a little too much jiggle.
Look, like, it's
just-
And
For-
everyone is just so annoyed by it, and or just not even paying attention. It's really refreshing. It's
I
kind of
like-
really
I like the-
It's
refreshing.
for a purpose as
The
well,
anim-
right?
Oh, yeah,
In
so-
case they're guns, they're laser guns.
Gets kicked all the other side of the room, and they have to fight hand to
It's
hand.
hilarious.
And there's that pile driver.
Yeah, there's the animation error as well when because Amy has little shorts as well, but she's wearing the little kind of light pink shorts.
Yeah.
And there's like a few shots where she's not wearing that as well, so she's just got
Oh,
the
Like a
leotard.
leotard, yeah.
Surprised I didn't notice that.
Speaking of that pile driver, Amy either died or got a very good kind of spinal adjustment.
Yes,
reckon
her
she
neck
did.
gets broken.
I mean,
It's the future. You can fix that.
Farnsworth
It's
is
fine.
like playing God. I think repairing a permanent spinal damage isn't out
Well,
of his realm.
I,
of
Well,
think, I
also,
think Amy's
Leela-
neck has just built up a tolerance over all the years of slipping over.
well, also clearly they are super women because Leela is about to dive into the lava.
Yeah.
But she's going to take her leotard off
Yes.
first.
Don't
even
want to get
though
it ruined.
Lava heart!
Yeah, you don't want to ruin the leotard in the
Yeah, exactly.
boiling hot lava.
As proven by Bender's eyes.
I guess you said it introducing I guess the sub basement as a pit of lava is
Yeah.
a sort of a new feature of the
How did-
Planet Express building.
How did
It's
Scruffy
new.
get in there?
I love that he is the lift
Yeah.
as well.
there is stairs. There's a door
Oh,
to the
okay.
side.
All right.
That moment where
He's very
Scruffy-
strong.
That
Yes.
moment where Scruffy is like pulling it down, and then there's that slight tilt.
You reckon
Um,
that's...
Well, firstly, that triggers me on a very special level because I was recently in an opera where we had to lower a coffin into the trapdoor, and without fail, every time we had the rope, one person would slip it slightly, and you see the coffin go on the angle. And watching that, I was just hearing the assistant director in my head, and I'm like, "Don't fuck this up,
There's
Scruffy,
like...
don't fuck this up."
There was no one in it, right?
Yeah,
Is that yes, no?
You were in an opera.
yeah. I was in Hamlet.
Hamlet.
Wait,
The
was there
opera?
someone
Yeah,
in...
there's an opera of Hamlet.
Was there someone in the coffin,
no, it was
though?
an empty
Oh, so
coffin.
it's fine. It's
Yeah.
not like
But it's more
someone's
it
going to
looks
tumble
horrible.
out.
The assistant director was screaming at people anytime they screwed up because it's like, it looks terrible, and it's like, no one's going to see.
So, are we going to talk about the crushing depression that this episode is? Or?
I don't know.
Well, I
I
think
saw-
we can talk about how. Sorry,
I was going to say, I don't know. I stopped watching the episode. before I-
talk about how this is obviously has the two of the big Futurama trinity, right?
Mhm.
It has like dollops of heart, like
Yeah,
so
so much heart.
genuine emotion to it,
Mm.
right? That you go, this is very sincerely handled, very carefully and it's done in a serious way, right?
Yeah.
That they give it its weight.
The
But
kinda-
also the episode is really funny.
It-
It has two
there's a
those
bit of-
parts.
Particularly towards the end, I did feel like there was a bit of whiplash with Farnsworth going on and on about the Dolomite. Meanwhile, like Seymour
Yeah.
is sinking into
Yeah.
the lava.
but he's fine because Dolomite. showing how cool Dolomite really is.
It's Dolomite, baby.
They have the thing where they have the flashback and the main plot running
Yeah.
alongside each other.
Good use of
And
flashbacks. as
Yeah,
Yeah.
they cut them together
I
quite
mean, it's similar
well.
to Luck of the Friarish. It's
Yes.
really
Yeah,
handled
yeah,
quite
yeah.
adeptly.
And it's not as if the funny stuff is relegated to the modern time and the
No, there's
jokes.
lots of
There's
great
in
jokes
both.
in. Yeah.
The pacing of the episode's fantastic.
Yeah,
I
it's
would even say
great.
there's
Brilliant.
good sci-fi. There is good sci-fi in this as well.
It's lacking like a core sci-fi premise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cloning?
Yeah,
I
Bringing
guess,
people
but it's
back to
not,
life?
It's not the same as like say this is 2001. This is One Flew Over a Cuckoo's Nest. It's not. It doesn't have like
Yeah.
a core
But
thing
yeah.
to hang
I
on
guess
it.
so. I
Or like
still
Love
think
and,
it
Love
works.
and Rocket with like that kind of 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
kind of
Although-
vibe.
I'm not saying it's a major criticism as
No, I get
as,
you.
Yeah.
as Sean says.
The prophet
When
Sean.
one is not there,
you
the
pull it
other
up.
two have to
Yeah,
take
and this
pull
one
their
has
weight. And
so
it does
much
that,
heart,
does that.
and
Yeah.
all the jokes are really, really good.
It's great.
And
jokes.
clearly, like cloning your dog is not a sci-fi thing. Barbara Streisand did it recently.
But
She cloned her dog twice. So the dog is still alive at the
Yeah.
moment, but it's obviously getting older. And there was like this big debate about like we shouldn't do this to our dogs. They're kind of meant to die. Like we're meant to love them intensely, and then they're meant to, and we're not meant. Having said that, a clone
It's
is
a different dog.
a clone is just it would be the same if you bred your dog, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I mean, it's just
Or-
genetic.
or
No,
if you
yeah,
had a
it's
twin
not
of
the
your
same
dog.
the thing though that takes it into sci-fi is the fact that they're able to take the mind at the point of death and let it live on.
Yes,
Continuously.
that
They
is
do a
the
lot
cool-
of hand waving.
that's
The
the cool
the doggy
thing.
goo.
Sweet, sweet nougat
Sweet
of
sweet
dog.
dog
nougat.
nougat, yeah.
I wish they hadn't phrased it that way.
And
That's
the-
terrible.
the high tech lo-fi kind of thing that they
The
have. running
dog
for Futurama.
goes.
Oh,
"Mrrr."
this will take a while.
Sure, smash my machine is even with Fry.
And it's just a drill that drills
But
into the dog.
Farnsworth's reaction to fixing the machine is just to smash it.
Yeah,
so
that's
I don't
right.
think he can
It's a
hold the
different
moral
level of
high
smashing.
ground.
Also, I think
Oh
Farns-
yeah, smash the smart guys.
Farnsworth has one of the best jokes in this as well, and it's just like a simple little gag. It's like, behold, like this ice swan, and just brings it to the lava,
Yeah.
and it just melts, and it's like anything would melt. I just needed to get rid of that. I'm like,
Yeah,
great.
it would have melted at room temperature.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the highlights of this episode as well is not just for the ending song, but the soundtrack in general.
Yeah.
Is all the
Do,
music
do,
is
do, 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 do.
well, you get the payoff as well, of course, of Walking on Sunshine.
Yep.
You better plug it in.
Hold on for a moment, everyone. Hold your butts.
Because it's laced through, all right, so much. Because it was a tortoiseshell cat, those patterns are actually formed in the womb. So it had a completely different pattern.
Like fingerprints.
Yeah, completely different
Yeah.
pattern. Anyway, off
Welcome
cloning.
back. Sorry, Chris.
What were you talking about?
I was saying, but we were talking. It went to Barbara Streisand cloning her dog.
Cloning a dog.
But she was also like, I know that it's the same genetic material, but it was her fascination with this particular dog, and she was like, "Oh, I'm just waiting for the personality to manifest." And it's like it's a different dog,
That's
and
such
It's a different
and
dog, different
and it's also
experiences,
like
yeah.
what's it called, second beagle syndrome, where like
second beagle syndrome.
yeah, it's a
Educate me, please.
it's a common thing where people
Stop hitting the
people
table.
That warranted it.
where people the second dog can never live up to the first one,
I like
and it
siblings.
is truly
John
like
Wick.
So that,
and
that's
it's-
me. I've got that with my two brothers.
That was a good one.
Well, your brothers didn't die, did they?
Yeah.
They were flash fossilized. We're just waiting to get to the nougat
the
inside.
creamy brother nougat.
Oh! Can we start a punk band called Creamy Brother Nougat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we can. But yeah, like you don't want to do that to your pets where you place such a kind of
Yeah.
weight of the previous dog. Like your dog's not going to live up to the other. It's its own thing, and you should appreciate it for the special little dog
That's
that
why
it is.
get the mind and put it into the
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, yeah.
My favorite little moment, because I see it as a nice little callback, is Fry gets a small measure of revenge when he uses Bender to break the
Yeah.
glass.
Yes,
Because Bender
I was-
used Fry to break the glass.
very recently.
Yeah.
And he just goes, ow!
But he also, I like that he looks like he's about to pick up Bender entirely, but he just gets the
he just
leg.
gets the
leg.
foot, which is
Well, 'cause
much
Bender's
nicer.
like-
Yeah, absolutely.
Bender's like 500 pounds.
As,
or
we,
something.
as we've
Yeah.
talked
Really
about
heavy.
previously, he's 500 pounds when he
When he
needs to.
needs to.
When it needs to not kill someone, he's
I'm
less.
a huge fan of them using the original footage from the first episode and then adding some things around it
Yeah.
as well, like
More obvious Nibbler.
Nibbler.
of making Nibbler even more obvious and adding Fry's shadow next to Nibbler's shadow.
Yeah.
in that
for when
Yeah.
he comes back.
And
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
I think that is a really lovely. But even like when he's at Panucci's
I feel
Pizza,
like the
and there's-
eye is too obvious.
Oh, the eye's too obvious. But I
Yeah.
meant more like
Yeah.
at Panucci's Pizza when he's getting told to go, and it's the same scene and it's the same footage, and then they also add in Seymour coming up and
Yeah.
Mr. Asses.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like it's like nice. This is nice little use of
The
everything.
eye is wrong because why is Nibbler hiding in the bin? The bin is to the side of the
Yeah.
desk, but
And
the
he's
desk.
under
There
the
was a
desk.
second.
He wouldn't be able to crawl under the desk. He'd have to go around.
From
He's
my
pretty
memory,
quick.
From my memory, they
That's
actually
true.
showed that in the episode. Like they actually showed
jumping
him,
out of the bin.
climbing around to get
okay.
under there. I believe so. Also, there was a thing I was going to say. I just remember now in Bender's Big Score, which is the first movie.
This is past my knowledge.
This is where it gets the time code, right?
Yeah, there's a part where they do go back to the year 2000 because I've only seen the scene where Fry gets thrown out the front of Panucci's Pizza, and Seymour is standing there. So I'm not sure if he gets to do anything with that, but I do know that we will see Seymour again. At some
Give
point.
him
Yes,
a
Yeah,
it's
we
an
do,
script.
interesting thing because I have no context for future Seymour because I haven't watched the
You're
second
gonna
half of
give
the
him a
series
little
yet.
scritch.
Maybe
Give
he
him
takes
a
him
tummy
back.
rub.
Maybe he takes him back. That'd be
Don't
nice.
do this to me.
I think he
alright?
does.
Pretty sure he doesn't. Maybe Seymour dies again.
Shut
my God.
up! Why are you
what?
guys so mean?
Maybe we were Seymour the entire time.
While we're on some
Doggy
some
death?
functions, not some functions, some favourite moments,
Hmm.
favourite moments. I like the
Bender.
trio of jokes of I can fetch, and he gets a head from Easter Island, Bones.
Charlemagne!
He's got Charlemagne.
Just with the crown and everything.
Yeah.
Great visual
How would
joke.
Christopher Lee feel about that?
And then the laser show, which
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
my intro, is my favorite.
great.
Just, I love the freeze frame. They both stand there while the laser show goes on.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
lets it
Yeah.
play
Also,
out.
really good laser show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. It's great.
Fry's like, yeah.
Can you come to my wedding
All
and
right.
just do the lights? That'd be great.
I really like just the line of Fry obviously knows quite a lot about the time period he came from, and the woman goes, "Well, I'm a volunteer housewife with 45 minutes of induction and a Harlequin romance novel about archaeology." So
Don't wave your fancy degrees at me. I'm like,
it
great.
just reminds me of there was this article I read, and it was talking about these two new people in a museum who will be kind of like the experts on African objects, and they're both white. And it's like
They're from South Africa, that
didn't
counts,
you
right?
see it? Didn't you see Black Panther, bro? Like,
A favorite moment is the wise sage words of Dr. Zoidberg. You did nothing wrong. Don't
beat yourself up about
It's
it.
fine.
he's very
the-
lax.
Which I think is his only line.
No,
No,
the other
he's-
one is I was in this one the entire time.
yeah.
You are not fit to wear Fry's
Oh.
leotard.
Which I must say, second Beagle syndrome. Bender's
Yeah.
got it in that
Yeah,
Zoidberg
he
can't
does.
replace Fry.
Really does.
The first thing I wrote down was Fry's assistant costume because it's really good.
Oh, yeah.
It's
With the-
spangly
with the one nipple
shoulder.
out.
There's kind of
It's
something
really
in every
good.
scene that I'm really fond of. Like Robo Puppy for me.
Yeah.
is a-
Oh,
Initiating
Robo
2
Puppy.
hours of
Puppy.
yipping.
followed by
Licking
Miss
comments.
Puppy abuse.
Yeah.
Robo Puppy abuse. So.
Yeah.
I really like Robo Puppy.
I think it's the voice that throws me. I don't like the voice.
Robo.
Yeah, Robo
Robo
Puppy.
Puppy.
There's
It's like Lucy Lou.
there's that really little line where Fry's like, "Oh, you're always here waiting for me every time I come in," just like that giant mushroom in the shower.
Yeah.
I like that Fry goes out of his way to pose and kind of make Dolomite Seymour a living creature. Like the first time he gets given Seymour, he makes it lick him
Yeah.
while he's
Yeah.
going around. Or when he's making the bed, he kind of poses Seymour half on the couch leg. So he's like kind of got his front paws on.
Because it's very like it's a weird episode in terms of, and there's like a little throwaway gag, but I think it resonates really well for the episode where Farnsworth is talking about the silly native Martians and
Oh,
keep campaigning for us to respect their dead ancestors. Meanwhile, he's drinking out of a mug that is like a native Martian skull.
Yeah.
I think he even like he cuts off his sentiment halfway through so he can slurp.
Even the thing is, and every time, it's a gift that every time something about where the bugalo roam will just show up in my
Yeah.
argument. But then I was like, that's a better argument than
Yeah.
what they did
Yeah.
with
I feel like they're
with Bugalo.
almost poking fun at their own
Yeah.
insensitive
Yeah.
writing from that episode
Yeah.
doing that.
But also the thing is like how like this thing of respecting the dead, or what do we do with our dead things, and what do we class Seymour as? And it's like, and
research apparently.
Yeah, but it in terms of like the way people grieve for pets is a very like I feel grey area. Like not many people know what to do, and
You're
most
meant to
people
have,
kind
like-
of just dig a hole in the backyard. But there's also this big scandal with pet cremation where quite often because
it's really lax.
well,
right?
but
Yeah,
also
yeah.
you can pay the money and say I want like my dog to be cremated separately,
And here's a box of ashes.
but
then.
it's just and. In normal people ashes, you get a few,
Yeah.
few strays.
You'll sometimes even get like a few stray bits of the actual person that you want
Yeah.
because the rest of it is wood.
Yeah, exactly. But with that one, it's kind of like most crematoriums for pets do them just en masse, and they will lie to you and say, "Oh yeah, this is only your dog, and we did it separate." So
But you have a box of chimera ashes instead because it's
yeah,
a little bit of
so
everything.
like
It's more the emotional impact for you that you believe it, right?
There's
The-
a.
Can I? Oh, go.
they
I
don't
was going to
hold
say the
any.
one line that I like very similarly is just sort of out of nowhere, but it shows how Fry is adjusted to the year 3000 as well. It's like oh, it'd be like digging up Lassie and putting him in the Louvre, and Amy's immediately like Lassie is in the Louvre, and it's like yeah, I'm aware of that. I was using
Yeah.
an example.
Yeah,
But
what a
it's-
It's a really
sass
good
from
point.
Fry.
But
Real
it's
good
the
point.
thing of like we have pets to
much.
help us learn about death and learn about grieving, and the thing with Barbara Streisand and like kind of Fry in this episode, or people who stuff their pets, it's like you're not quite moving on,
Yeah.
and you get that with
Tells you something about how they might deal with
people.
people grief.
I think
Yeah,
that Fry has.
or just stuff me and use me as a lamp.
I like that as like
Why
a
don't we
juxta-
taxidermy
yeah.
people?
Because there's a law. Because it's
well,
illegal,
there's
I
a
believe.
lot.
Okay.
There's a lot of like.
I mean, other than Lennon.
We're
right?
dealing
Yeah.
into very macabre places, but there are people
go
who
there.
have taken,
Yeah.
like, stolen people's bodies and stuffed
And
them
just-
and kind of
It
kept them
puts the lotion on its skin.
pretty much, but much more disturbing in that it's like,
More disturbing
More-
than...
Can I posit a challenge here? What don't you like about this episode, or what didn't work as well? Can we?
Seymour waited for him! Fry! You should have known how much Seymour loved you. You should have known. And even if Seymour did have a long, full life,
There's
I
a
just-
sort of a bit
I
of a...
just-
Sorry.
I just
you
get a
weren't
bit
finished.
upset.
Okay.
That's what I don't
s-
like.
Some of the stuff with Fry's family, I think, is either just sort of... It's not that funny. It sort of just
Y2K,
relies
or-
a bit too much on... You remember what these guys are like.
Their incompetence as like a family unit.
Here are their two character traits.
Yeah.
Mum likes sports.
Dad.
Dad is paranoid.
Yeah.
And the only kind of humour derived from that is that they just exhibit those traits
Yeah.
repeatedly.
Well,
it's not.
it's
the
more
funniest
of
thing
like
about that
I feel like it's more like dramatic irony
Yeah,
in that they
absolutely.
just it's less of a joke and more Seymour desperately pulling at the leash and just he's just acting like this because our
Yeah.
boy is missing.
But that's
Meanwhile,
absolutely-
Fry's right there
That's
behind
absolutely
them.
the way I saw it. Like the idea of just there it's not meant to be the joke there. It's meant to make
They're
you
just-
feel sad in the
yeah.
fact that Seymour is the smartest thing in the room, being like, I know where your son is.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, dumb dog doesn't know what's going on. Let's
Yeah.
The funny
let
thing
him
about
out."
the thing about that family is that the person who has kind of the most, I guess, character progression, you could call it, is Yancey. Because Yancey's now like, he's not mean to his brother. He's just like, oh yeah, that must be him now. He's
'Cause he
coming
sees
through the
Seymour.
door.
Yeah.
He's like, he's older. He's
Yeah.
just more relaxed.
Well,
and they've
we-
got that brotherly relationship,
It's
which
weird to-
was touched upon a bit in Luck of the Friarish. But it's good to
Yeah.
kind of see, even as soon as when the millenniums hit, they've obviously grown out of that. It wasn't much later in life. It was they'd already kind of consolidated
It's
there.
possibly like that was the turning point, and this happens in families as well. Like you get to the turning point of you pass the hormonal thing or the kind of like living together kind of
combat.
yeah, and then you're on the cusp of kind of befriending your family, and I feel like maybe Yancey and Fry were about to do that.
Did they win the dance off?
It's assumed they never got to do it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's that
So
kind
it's
of...
a
mutual
Conversely, I've never forgiven my brothers for everything they've ever done to me.
Well, just wait until.
I've never forgiven myself for everything I've done against my brother. So
Oh, there you
I've
go.
got a very similar thought.
I'm jumping back on a very old thing, but I just found it in my notes and I couldn't come in with a rebuttal. But we did talk about why don't we taxidermy people, and I have a fun little. It's kind of sweet. It's there's a scientist named Grover Kentz, and he is in the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. He is an articulated skeleton, right now. Not that that's going to change. I mean, they might de-articulate
Until he
him.
decides to be something else.
He was, is, and will continue to be.
But he said, I will, you can have my body, but you have to bring my dogs as well. So he is there with his, they waited for the dog to, well, the dog passed before he did.
Yeah, I
but-
assume so.
Yep.
So, wait, just so I'm aware, do you have the dog's names there? Because I like that
I
there's a
do.
dog and the human's called Grover.
Yeah, it's if I told you, I should have told you the names first, but it's Grover and Clyde.
What?
So it is very much a man with a dog name and a dog with a man name.
I thought that it was two dogs because I was hoping it was Grover, and Clyde. No.
And then someone at the Smithsonian has a grand old time going Grover, and like turning the heads of the skeletons. What did you say, me?
Not you, Grover. And they both turn back the same way. Fry, I think, has borderline personality disorder.
Why?
Because...
Explain your reason.
Show you're working.
I think he's just an idiot.
No, at the beginning, because borderline personality disorder, they tend to portray traits of abandonment and over-connection. So at the beginning, when he's like, "You're not judging me like those other dogs, are you? Are you?" It's like there's a genuine moment that I'm like, "Oh, this is why he's still with Bender because of like Bender is an abusive personality type.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Fry has borderline personality disorder and fears rejection in every sense of his being.
Yeah.
I
The
blame
thing-
it on him not having the Delta brainwave.
Maybe.
Yeah,
But the
it's
thing
particularly
the thing I really like about that
Yeah. Oh, it's
particular
great.
thing
It's great, but he's
when
got-
he is talking, "You're not judging me now." I'm like, are you? And then there's the wait, but then you go, "Oh, of course you're not," because that's how all your conversations with your dog go. Like, "Oh, do you think I can do this, boy?" And then the
course
dog
you
is
can.
like, "Yeah, of course you can." You don't like.
Are they?
Yes.
Dogs don't talk, do they?
Dogs don't exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Phil,
don't
you gotta
need
remember
to
dogs
Full
talk.
circle.
They don't need
So
to talk. Of
confused.
course, they're not judging you.
Yeah. No,
They
I like
love
that.
you
Yeah.
unconditionally.
Dogs love, cats judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
No,
very true.
It's
actually.
a great scene that, and like you immediately see why Seymour and Fry are going to be BFFs.
And I have to say, the acting for Seymour, it's probably something that doesn't get, but the
Deserve that,
Voice
Emmy.
acting
I
is
feel
really
like
good.
truly you get really connected with Seymour. The whimpers and the kind of like bark that they give him is really right, and it does a lot for the character. Like
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
kind of you have the pitiful kind of like. At
But-
the
and then also
beginning,
that happy-
but it's also because he's kind of a mutt that his vocal quality is quite a bit
Yeah.
scratchy.
He didn't have many lines, but he did a lot with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Alan Tudyk as the chicken in Moana.
Oh yeah, I went to Juilliard.
Or if you've ever seen Angry Birds, which I'm probably the only one that did, Sean Penn voices the big, massive bird, and his lines consist of
Yeah, but you know what?
Just a
That's
grumble.
maybe the only like capacity I'm happy to see Sean Penn in the movie.
That's also the only capacity I'm happy to see Angry Birds in.
To go back to very quickly to what Sean was saying of like what flaws can you find?
Oh yeah, I can't.
Uh,
No, I
you
think
go
some
through-
of the whiplash, like I really wish that it's kind of the similar thing to Hercules, the Disney movie. So we have like Meg dying, and the same in this. In what we have Seymour sinking into the lava, but the urgency of that drama is lost by going back to the jokes.
Yeah.
And I think there was just a bit too much. Like it was kind of like Seymour jokes, Seymour jokes, Seymour jokes,
Seymour jokes,
Seymour.
Seymour jokes, Seymour
And
jokes.
like
they've very limited time.
yeah, but
And-
maybe if they just focused on this like less of the jokes in that moment.
Right, yeah.
Mine is the transitions between the past and the present. I think they could have been just a little bit tighter.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bite into the sandwich and then turns into the Planet Express building. It's like, couldn't there be something that like vaguely is else there
Yeah.
than pans there? Like even like the steam that comes out of Bender goes to the guy working on the thermostat. But there's no
I
steam
fucking
coming out-
love that.
Yeah, but there's no steam coming out of the thermostat. It's just going to a guy on the thermostat.
But I like that it just pans out into a new scene, like through the
Yeah.
steam, you just get another.
I think it
Yeah.
could be tighter. I think they could be so much tighter.
Mm.
Just like that transition and then move with it.
I think the
That's
early
fair
part of the plot relies a little bit too much on a little coincidence. That
Finding the dog.
Panucci's, Panucci's
Panucci's
pizza.
his
Yeah.
exact workplace is suddenly found and preserved,
But
and
it took
it's,
4
it's-
seasons to
is
get there.
and is an exhibit. Like and
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, oh right, look, this newspaper, this place that I know of, and that they decide they have to go visit it.
Well, he doesn't.
It's a little
well,
bit
he doesn't
contrived.
realize it's Panucci's
Until he's there.
Until he's in there.
Yeah, but they also
But
there's
the fact
even
that
less
it's-
reason to
but the
visit
fact,
it.
the fact that it's that pizza store, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of coincidences have to occur
Yeah.
for that to
Actually,
be a
I
thing.
agree with
Which
you.
is
I
not so
think
good.
something that could make that tighter is if they actually went to the excavation site, seeing the pizzeria dug up and like Fry's looking, he's like, oh, this, and realize it's Panucci's maybe there instead of it being in a museum. Would that tighten it up a little bit more? Or?
Maybe there's a way of like, let's help out with the archaeology
Yeah.
that's ongoing.
And
That
then
would be fun
Fry
activity for the two of
And then
us.
Fry uncovers Seymour. So
Yeah.
the day of like digging it
Like
up. and
literally
seeing-
Yeah.
digs
I
them
feel
up,
like
yeah.
it might also like the way that it is might tie into. There's been scandals in the past about people being displayed in museums,
Yeah.
and the kind of family is being like, we want their bones back. We want
Yeah.
we haven't given permission for this, so kind of we want our people back. We want kind of to have some respect for our dead.
And it leads into the argument of are they remains or are they there for science? Which is one of those arguments.
Well,
that-
I
Number
think
12,
it's-
you say. That's all I need to know.
yeah, that was lovely.
Well, I think it's fine, like with Grover and Clyde. That's clearly like consent, and,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's
that's
nice
right.
that he's like, well, I can be part of this exhibit, and I can keep educating people, and I'll also be with my dog.
the moral
Right.
of the story is always write in your will what you want to have
Yes.
done to your body.
That is a very important thing.
So, on this episode, we're going to chuck it to a vote. We have got Jurassic Bark, which will be going head to head against Less Than Hero.
That is a very different episode to this one. They're
Yes. Yeah.
Very, tonally, almost complete other ends of the spectrum. So I
Yes.
find it slightly difficult to compare them.
Here's the thing: is that what we're talking about is so if you're going by the Sean's patent.
The Prophet of Sean's patented system.
Patented
Patter.
trilogy of Futurama.
Thank you. It has a whole different too. So Less Than Hero
Yeah.
takes the humor and the sci-fi idea of superheroes and such, where it tones down on the emotional residency. So they're two different episodes, but how do you place them?
That's what I'm asking.
I'm extrapolating
No one can answer
on
that for you.
It's like comparing an apple to the Mona Lisa, I think.
Which
Both
is
are
better.
good in like completely different things.
And if you were to compare an apple to the Mona Lisa,
Depends. Am I
In
hungry or
what
do I want to look?
situation would you be asked to do that?
just as a generic, if I just
Like,
say,
you're really hungry.
Okay,
Generic,
here you
never
go.
get a
I
chance to
will
see
go
it.
for Mona Lisa every time.
Okay.
Unless I'm like, oh man, I'm
Starving.
so hungry and there's a doctor coming and I need to keep him away and I eat an apple.
But I think that makes sense, right? If you were feeling
What
really
I said or the other thing?
something about what you said.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what
He's
I said.
going to pick a
If you
meaning
were-
out of it.
If you were like you wanted to feel something deeply,
Yeah.
if you want to have emotions,
but if you maybe watch this episode, if you wanted to
Have
a
fun?
romp,
Yeah.
you'd watch the other episode.
Wacky fun time.
Right?
Yeah.
They serve very different purposes.
Absolutely.
I have to
So
say,
do they achieve? Which one achieves what it sets out to do better?
I have
right?
to
I
say,
guess which one do you personally enjoy more?
Yeah.
What do you want more from a
this is
Futurama
like
episode?
one of my favorite ones, but I cannot watch it that often
Yeah.
because I'm just left as a mess afterwards. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Because a shell of your former self.
We all
A
have
shell.
those-
because I have feelings, and that actually makes me stronger. It's called emotional resonance.
She also
and,
believes that dogs
She has one of the
exist.
trifecta.
That's right.
Yes,
I have sci-fi.
it's like the Triforce. I've just got like it on my left hand, but it's just like a sad face.
Power,
don't know
wisdom,
why-
and courage. You're just sad.
I don't know why I'm characterizing myself like this. I'm actually quite a sensitive soul.
Yeah. It's
I'm probably
a
gonna-
coping mechanism.
What?
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah,
nerd.
yeah. I think personally, this is a better episode.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with this. I didn't feel as much today because of context and viewing context, but I think it's a masterful episode
Yep.
that highlights the best of Futurama when they know their characters and they know where to put the funnies and the feels.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
and
my
the
opinion.
fan service sometimes.
Yes.
The 3 Fs.
Well, they've built up their characters. They've built up the stories between, especially the Fry and Bender relationship, enough that you can handle this kind of episode and it can carry the episode too.
Yeah.
Like I think they've built up masterfully to Jurassic Bark, and they're still building up to future episodes. The very somewhat heavy. Okay, that's my negative towards the episode. By the way, is the heavy-handed nibbler reference. I think they still could have kept it kind of subtle by this point. That being said, like Jurassic Bark, because it's still setting up future episodes. It's a great episode in itself, and I'm constantly remembering quotes from this episode. I was quoting along more than I do usually
Yeah.
in episode.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm the same as you, Phil. It didn't hit me emotionally as much as it does in private viewings, but that doesn't take away from it.
Jurassic Bark with a golden bullet because it is a fantastic episode. There was one moment where I did actually actively say out loud "fucking Cubit" because he just shows up because I forgot the Cubit was in this episode, and then he leaves immediately. I'm like, yay!
It's the best use of Cubit.
Yeah, he's like, here's your little bit of toe, and then go away. I'm like,
Oh, he also had no idea what to do with that toe.
yeah.
What is he meant to do?
He was
Put
just
it back
staring at it
on?
like, what do I
Yeah, it's
do?
just like, thanks.
Literally, they're just because he's a clone and they're reusing the
Yeah,
cloning
exactly.
Yeah.
machine.
Exactly. But this episode is fantastic. As you were saying, the heart, it hits there really good. The comedy is fantastic. And I think the sci-fi is very good. I love a good Frankenstein reference. So getting into that kettle of fish is always lovely. It's one of the best. It's one of the best episodes.
Yeah, I don't even know why we're having this conversation.
know.
It's obviously Jurassic Park.
Just in case.
I love how you said the Frankenstein. It's good sci-fi. It's the OG sci-fi.
Yeah.
So Mary
there's
Shelley,
a
my
movie.
girl. What?
Movie coming out about Shelley.
Yeah,
Looks
which is
very
great
nice.
because
Yeah,
she
looks
is
quite
an
interesting.
amazing woman and like had such a really crazy life. And
I
she is
have a bit of a tragic thing to tell you. She was an amazing woman.
No.
I'm sorry.
She
No.
doesn't
She's
exist.
gone.
You know how I was saying she's the OG sci-fi? Well, you just
Frankenstein's monstering
Yeah.
her
We
way
were going to
around.
surprise you. We have a flash fossilized
Oh my
version of it with a sweet, sweet Mary Shelley nougat.
well, like Mary Shelley is also the OG goth, and like you're saying, you might have a little piece of her. She kept her husband's. Well, we think it's the liver.
Oh.
They thought it was the heart, but it was kind of like hard to tell. She kind of pulled it from the pyre, as it were, and kept it in a jar by her
Lovely.
by her writing desk.
Do
And
we
it's like,
do we think that it used to be a heart, but it was actually her liver, or did she think it was the
no,
heart?
she thought it was the heart, but it was
Right.
probably the liver.
It was like a Black Friday sale. She was just trying to grab whatever she could before it was all gone.
Hot, hot, hot,
Oh,
hot.
it's going cheap.
She's like throwing it from hand to.
It's exactly the same with Bender dives in the lava. Oh, that's hot. Oh, that's hot.
Yeah. Oh,
Where'd you
sorry.
guys go?
I forgot to talk about this. How great this episode is. It's amazing. I think it's just full of heart. I think it's also
Or
brilliant.
liver.
Yeah, we don't
don't know.
It's too hot. It's too hot to tell. But also brilliantly acted. Fry, like, crying. I feel so much for him, and it's that truly wrenching kind of sob when he like swats Lila away
Yes.
when they're trying to comfort him. He's so distraught, and even the same, like the little whimpers and stuff for Seymour, brilliant. And yeah, it's just so much heart. There wasn't a joke that I didn't really like in this episode. So not only was I like feeling a lot throughout this episode, like all the jokes were good and I appreciated.
I feel
so, yeah.
because the jokes all land as well, it makes the sadness sadder. 'Cause
Yes.
You're like, I was like laughing and I'm like kind of disarmed, and then it's like, oh, and here's the sad.
And it's the thing of like, Fry is right essentially in that he probably should move on because that's the way death works. We can't bring back, and like while we can lament the sadness that it is that Seymour had to live without him, we don't get do-overs like Farnsworth can cook up like in life, and you know he does have to move on from his past.
It's why the final stage in grieving, the grieving process is acceptance.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was cloning. I'm so confused.
that's super secret stage.
I'm a professor. Why won't anyone listen to me?
Professor Lava hot.
But that's exactly it. Like, moving on is a massive theme at the end of the episode, just like we have to move on to the voice portion of this podcast.
Oh,
I
now
think we
Sean,
should-
that is a segue. Sean, here is your certificate of graduation of segues.
Taken,
you just-
ripped, eaten.
You just
it is
get
now
a
me.
segue, so you can roll around
It's a
being
new
like.
segue.
And so yeah,
I
the
think
voice.
we should do
I
the
think.
song.
I'll give you a choice: the
think we should
song,
do the
or I think we can also pay homage to one of the Futurama gangsters. I just call him a gangster. He's a great guy. What's his name now? Because I forget. Who does all the? His name's escaping me. He does all the voices of like animals.
Oh, I
and,
know the one you're talking about. Yeah. Is it the same voice actor who did Abu? in-
Abu, yeah. I feel like you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, my friend.
Monkeys
What
are
is
fun
your
too.
name?
Jeremy.
Irons.
No,
I will rule the
Toby.
dragons.
he does. He does
Toby.
Dungeons and
Nibbler.
Dragons movie, man. Dungeons and Dragons
Chris,
movie.
please edit out this because
Why?
it's
Tram
Tramampoline.
Why is his name?
Saxophone.
Saxophone.
Why is he not credited? There we go. Frank Welker.
Frank Welker.
Frank Welker.
Welker.
Basically, the voice of the dog. Seymour.
Can I do both?
Very good at what he does.
That's me. I'm done.
I'll just do his other line in the show.
Yeah, get the pizza. I want to do the song.
You
Fuck
can do
all
the
y'all.
song.
If it takes forever, I will wait for you for 1,000 summers. I will wait for you.
Now do
You
it
should
as
stop now,
Seymour.
or we will get
Do
sued.
it as Seymour.
There you go.
Perfect. Cut it. Put it in the post.
You're going to the movies, kid.
You're gonna be in the movies.
You're gonna be on Broadway.
So,
Like King Kong.
ladies and gentlemen, we have a bit of a history over the past few months of losing cast members.
Sometimes finding them again.
Yeah, dragging them back into the
Sometimes
fold.
they're flash fossilized.
I'm a clone.
This is actually the final episode, at least for a while, that we have Miss Ellen.
You
she's-
will miss Ellen.
We've cloned you. We're just
Maybe
waiting.
not after that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say we've cloned you. We're just waiting to get your mind.
The creamy Ellen nougat.
we'll get that from
Creamy
you
brother
after.
nougat.
Ellen is jet setting off to parts unknown.
Yeah, look, I could.
Europe's pretty nice.
Europe.
I
Europe.
could.
No.
I could stay here and do this podcast for
Podcast.
free, or I could go to Europe.
So
So
bye.
if you do end up coming back in, what is it, like 6 months' time, we're going to be well into the second series.
Yeah.
Which will be exciting.
But yeah, she's gone.
You can always Skype me for a tiebreaker.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Please don't.
And
In
then
the middle of the night.
yeah. And then if it's a tiebreaker with you included, we have to
Aw.
get Chris on the phone. And
That'll
then
be great.
we have a conference system.
Also be massively suspenseful because it'll take 10 seconds every time we ask you for the
Yeah.
response to come through.
What's different?
Yeah, right?
It's always
So
different every time.
I want to say thank you, Ellen, for
Aw.
your unique contribution to the podcast.
Thank
Great
you.
To have you.
Trying to class it up a bit. No, I'm kidding. Pretty much the opposite.
Yeah.
No, it's been fun. I'm sad that I'll miss out on some great Futurama episodes, but I'll also be
Shit
living my
happens
life.
and life happens.
We'll sit here and wait for you to come back.
Oh no!
Just don't die.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
I was going to say
Or
just
get
come back.
frozen.
Yeah.
Because then you'll
We'll
just
wait-
be at this table like for 9
We're
years.
going to wait 12 years.
Yep.
And then by that time, we have moved on to the Simpsons podcast. We'll be
Oh.
into like season
Oh.
2.
Oh, that's great! So I can come back just for like the good Simpsons episodes.
Yeah.
So-
Or maybe by the time you come back, Futurama's back on the air. So it won't be.
Yeah,
No.
So,
So-
our community podcast.
You got to
then.
move on sometimes.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to join us next week, because Ellen won't be, we'll be on.
Wow, so passive aggressive.
It'll be Crimes of the Hot, which is the return of Al Gore, I'm pretty sure, which is the next environmental episode that you have up your sleeves. And if you'd like to write in and lament your frustrations about the leaving of Ellen, you can do so at babybeardmedia@gmail.com.
Don't at me. I don't care. I'll be
Hashtag don't
gone.
at me, bro.
Don't at me.
If you want to share your sorrow induced by this episode, do so on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And if you cried the tears of a man or woman, give us 5 stars, a couple of thumbs up, or a sad picture of Ellen walking away as we 3 little dog men watch her leave, never to return.
Please get them as the seasons change as well, because that'd
Yeah.
be really good.
It's
Or
knee deep in snow.
it would be nice if like after this episode, please hold your doggos tight, and we'd love to see some pictures.
If you
sometime.
don't have a doggo,
please, yeah.
buy one and then hold it.
Especially if you've got a doggo that looks like Seymour.
Oh,
it'd be amazing.
If you have a doggo, then you clearly don't, because they don't exist.
Yeah.
And until that time, I have been Dogman Sean.
I've been Ellen.
I've been doggo Phil.
And I've been doggo sitting on the park bench watching Ellen leave forever, Josh.
Oh.
Bye.
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 She
is
just
good.
wants to drink the ranch
Oh,
from.
yeah.
Oh my
You could
god,
say
that would be.
not
dis-
enough salt.
What is ranch? He's
What a
suffering
pointless
from
and
the ring.
Frodo is
Yes.
so out of his head at that point.
He's
I could
really
guess.
fucked up.
You look at
so-
Elijah Wood and you're like, oh boy, you need sleep.
I think it just feels really half-assed, that thing. Like, oh look, he's got lembas breadcrumbs. What a greedy gumdrops. He's so fat, and he's like, oh my god, his whole character
did
has
you-
changed.
where
just
did
want to
that
say, I
accent
want to see. You're
on a
right.
dog.
You're right. The guy from The Simpsons was based on a dead dog.
You
from a
fuck
couple of years
yeah,
ago.
right?
You
Fuck
fucking
you.
shit, eh?
Or one of
Least
the
one a
eagles was to wear it. They're essentially god tier, so they would be able to break the fabric of the universe.
All right, let's
I
do this
would be a
fucking podcast.
queen, more terrible, as beautiful. Oh fuck, what's the line?
The headline for this is unbelievable.
Oh.
Pet owner is shocked to find out the 2 cute puppies he bought and raised for 2 years are actually bears.
Together.
Yeah.
I'm walking on sunshine.
Best doggy barks.
Noodles.
Song sucks noodles. Yeah.
Whoa.